All right, welcome to today's class on Dotloop 101. My name is Leah with Scott Leroy Marketing, and in today's class I will be taking you through the Dotloop basics. So today's class is designed for those of you who are new to Dotloop or maybe have only been in Dotloop a couple times, so it will be a little bit of a slower paced class, and we'll be diving into all of the basic concepts of Dotloop. So first item on the list is how to log into your Dotloop account. And actually the best way to get into your Dotloop account is by going to mykw.kw.com. Okay, so you'll see that in the top of my address bar. That is the page that I'm currently on, but again that is mykw.kw.com. And you'll want to make note of that address if you don't already have that memorized. This is where you'll go to log into all of your KW tech tools. So it's like your one-stop shop to make your real estate career a little bit easier with technology. So that's mykw.kw.com. And you'll come to what I have on my screen here, where you'll want to put in your username and password. Now your username is not case sensitive, and that is usually something like your first initial, last name, and maybe a number at the end if your last name is more common. And your password is case sensitive, however. Okay, so you will need to have a capital letter in that password, a lowercase letter, and a number as well. If you have no idea what your myKW username and password is, no worries. I know you have a million passwords for everything. Just go ahead and email support@scottleroymarketing.com, and they can help you figure out your myKW username and password and reset that for you so that you can follow along in today's class. Okay, again, our support email address is support@scottleroymarketing.com. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and enter in this information and click login. You can of course click remember my username to keep that in there. One less thing to remember. All right, and that will take you into your myKW home screen. And just a heads up, if you get any sort of weird error, feel free to just type in mykw.kw.com again on your address bar and click enter, and that'll refresh your page and bring you in here. Okay, the system has been doing that recently, so just a quick tip on that. Now, as you log into your myKW home screen, you should see this e-edge control panel box on the top center of your screen. And we'll want to focus in today's class on this option that says myTransactions. Okay, so you'll hear and see Dotloop referred to as both Dotloop and myTransactions, not to be confusing, but that is the same thing. All right, so to get into your Dotloop account, you'll simply need to click Start My Transactions here. Okay, so that blue link right under My Transactions, let's go ahead and click Start My Transactions. Now, if for any reason you can't see this e-edge control panel here, maybe you don't have one or it's saying to activate that, you can go to dotloop.com directly as well to log in. So again, feel free to log in at dotloop.com directly as well. The great thing about logging in from here though, where it says Start My Transactions, is that should take you into your Dotloop account without further passwords. But again, you can always log into Dotloop at dotloop.com, and just a heads up, there is also a mobile app for Dotloop that you can download on your iPhone or Android devices. Same goes for your tablet if you have an iPad or an Android tablet. I would recommend getting the Dotloop app. It's very user-friendly and it's great to have on the go if you have your clients next to you and you need them to sign something from your iPad. So it's a pretty cool feature. Alright, and as you're getting into Dotloop, if your home screen looks a little different than mine, no worries. Dotloop did just recently roll out a brand new Dotloop home screen. Okay, so let me first make sure that everyone is on the same page and looking at this new Dotloop home screen. This is where I'll be teaching class from. So if you were looking at a screen similar to mine, okay, white and blue here with Keller Williams Premium, you're great, hold tight, your Dotloop account is where it needs to be. All right, if you are seeing a black and red Dotloop account, all right, let me go on over to that. Just a heads up, if you have been in Dotloop before and you're noticing this new upgrade and you're not a big fan, okay, you can always switch back over to the previous Dotloop home screen by clicking on your headshot on the top right, or it might be your initial in a circle on the top right. And you do have the option to switch to old Dotloop here. Okay, this is purely just switching the way that your Dotloop homepage view looks. Right, all the functionality is the exact same, it just looks a little different. Okay, so if your screen does look like mine now, this black and red with loops here, right, this is the older Dotloop page. And just to get everyone on the same page for today's class, let's go ahead and make sure we click here for early access to new and improved loops page. Okay, so it's on the top black toolbar, kind of towards the left-hand side on a slightly darker black toolbar. You'll see it says click here for early access to new improved loops page. Okay, so go ahead and click here, and as I'll be teaching the class from the new Dotloop homepage. I know it's not super fun when software that you learn changes their home screen. Okay, you learn one way and then they go and change it. But the good news is it's just the look that is changing. All the functionality is the exact same, so everywhere is the same place. So if you again go ahead and click here, so we can all be on this same Dotloop homepage here. Okay, and now as you're doing that, I'd like to start by telling you what Dotloop is. So Dotloop is going to be your online filing cabinet. So you're going to have a loop, okay? When I say loop, that means an online file. You're going to have a loop per property that you sell. So for example, if you are representing a client who is selling their home with you and then buying the next home, that is going to be two different loops because it's two different properties, okay, or two different transactions. So it's not per the client, it's per the property. Okay, so that's just how Dotloop works the best here. And now I'd like to start by taking you through some of the navigation of the Dotloop homepage, and we'll actually start on the top right of your screen. But I'm sorry, before we get started any further, please make sure that on the top left of your Dotloop account you are seeing a Keller Williams logo and it says Premium. Okay, if you are not seeing Keller Williams Premium on the top left of your Dotloop account, that means you're not connected to your Market Center and will not have access to your Market Center forms. Right, if that is the case, if you are missing Keller Williams Premium on the top left, go ahead and email support@scottleroymarketing.com and let them know that your Dotloop account is not the premium version. They'll be able to connect you to your Market Center real quick so that you can follow along in today's class. Okay, and let me go ahead and message out our support email address just so you guys have that. So again, that's support@scottleroymarketing.com. And we do try and answer emails within about 5 minutes, so we do respond really quickly, if not sooner than that. All right, so great way to get in touch with us. All right, now that we all have our Keller Williams Premium account, or at least are en route to getting that, let's go ahead and talk about the navigation on the top right of your Dotloop account. So starting on this first icon that looks like a bar graph and says reporting, what that is that will be all of your stats for your Dotloop account. So your year-to-date sales and other information about your loops and your sales. All right, and I will make sure to highlight which ones are noteworthy and ones you'll be using quite a bit, and that is the next one, this loops icon. Okay, that loops icon looks like a smiley face with no eyes. It says loops, and that is how you will always get back to your Dotloop home screen, which is where we are right now. Okay, so if you're ever lost in Dotloop or just need to get back home, this is the quickest way to do that, by clicking on this loops icon. Moving to the right, we have this tasks icon, a pretty cool feature. Dotloop does allow you to put to-do lists for yourself in all of your loops. Right, so you can keep track of all the million things that you have to do to get a listing live, for example. And this tasks icon on the top right will be an umbrella view of all the to-do lists that you have in all of your loops combined. So it's like an overarching view of all of your to-do lists. Moving to the right, we do have the people section, and that will be you will see an overview of all the contacts that you have ever worked with in all of your loops. So all the people that you have ever put into your Dotloop account. And moving to the right, this is another big one, this template section. Right, this is another noteworthy icon. This templates icon is where you'll go to find all blank forms. So if you're not crazy about technology, it's okay. Dotloop can be used to a couple different capacities. And one is you can do it the old school way where you can just go in, print out your blank forms, and bring it on to your appointment so you can hand fill out the form and have your client hand sign it. And I will be showing you in just a moment exactly how to go about printing out your blank forms from Dotloop. So if that method appeals to you, hold tight. We'll be hitting that towards the beginning of class here. But where we're really going to start is on this icon to the far right. You'll see a circle that either has your headshot or your initial in a circle on the far right of your Dotloop home screen here. So go ahead and click on that. All right, big things to note here is, first of all, this member ID. This member ID can, of course, be found here in this drop-down and on the bottom of every page in Dotloop. If you call Dotloop support, okay, and their support number is right here, they have awesome support hours, and you put in this member ID when prompted, it will move you to the front of the support line because you are a Keller Williams Premium member. So pretty awesome, faster support with Dotloop support. This is a good thing to write down or at least know where to access that, okay? I want to point out as well, if you are an agent in more than one market center, or if you are transferring from one market center to another, you may have more than one Dotloop profile from this list that you can just simply click on to toggle back and forth between your loops, okay, and your different Dotloop profiles. If you're only seeing one profile here, that's definitely more common, so that's good. You're good to go on that. So let's go ahead and click on this My Account option. Okay, that's right under your name. Let's go ahead and click on My Account to take a look at the back end of your Dotloop account. All right, so again, we hovered over either our initial or our headshot on the top right in a circle, and we clicked on My Account. And that will take you into the My Account section of your Dotloop account. All right, and why this section is so awesome is it auto-populates all of your information, all of your contact information onto every single form that you bring into Dotloop. Okay, we want you working smarter, not harder. So taking a little time to make sure this information is correct definitely saves you time in the long run. So that's where we're going to start out here. So first of all, let's talk about your headshot here. All right, if you don't have a headshot, you can click this red button here. It says something like upload photo if you don't have one. Okay, and you can browse your computer to upload your headshot right away. It's really important to have your headshot in your Dotloop account because your clients are going to be signing legal documents, and with all the unfortunate spam and viruses going around, it makes your clients feel a lot better signing those legal documents if they see a familiar face. Now, if you have not gotten your headshot quite yet, no worries, feel free to make a note on where to add this in, or you can also email your headshot to support@scottleroymarketing.com. There are about 6 different spots that we upload your headshot for you throughout your KW technology, including Dotloop. So we're happy to do that for you. Okay, feel free to email over your headshot anytime to us. All right, and now let's take a look at this information to the right-hand side. If you're still uploading your headshot, no worries, I won't leave you behind, but let's take a look at our information on these right side columns. First of all, first and last name, slightly important, make sure that's all spelled correctly there. Email address, this is something you'll want to write down. Make sure you write down what your Dotloop email address is specifically. Okay, not only do you need that to log into your Dotloop account, that is your username to log in at dotloop.com, but it's also hugely important if you have another agent who is sharing a form with you in Dotloop. You'll need to make sure they're sharing that with this email address specifically. You can't just give them any old email address that you have. It must be this email address. So please make sure to write down what your Dotloop email address is so that you get that form appropriately. Okay, that happens more than you know, shared to the wrong email address. All right, phone number and fax here. Let's make sure that's entered in correctly. If you do not have a fax number, your office might have a fax number that you can enter in if you'd like to add that here. And moving on down, we have our e-sign name and e-sign initials. Now this is how Dotloop will automatically sign your name and initial your name. So if you do or do not want to sign with a middle initial, or let's say your name is William, but you go by Bill, okay, you might want to sign with William here, right, as that is your legal name. Okay, so just make sure you do have your e-sign name and e-sign initials how you would like to sign each document, like a listing agreement, for example. Company name here. All right, in the very least, make sure you have Keller Williams Realty written in. Depending on your area, you might be required to also have your brokerage name in there, like I have Keller Williams Realty, Ballantyne area. Okay, that's my brokerage name. If you're not sure if you're required to have your brokerage name, feel free to check in with your broker in charge. They'll be able to let you know if that's required for your area. And job title here to the right hand side. That is another thing that is kind of specific to your area or region, okay, depending on what you go by in your area. Okay, broker slash realtor, for example, or salesperson. I know that's slightly different depending on where you are. If you are typing in the word realtor, please make sure to type that in all caps. Okay, you type in the word realtor, that does need to be in all caps because that's a trademark word. And the last important section here is your NERDS ID. Okay, if you know your NERDS ID, go ahead and put that in here. And again, that will autofill it on any form that requires this information. Okay, so it will save you time in the long run, and it's one less thing to remember all the time. Of course, you can update this information anytime, so if you don't know that off the top of your head, you can always come back. And if you're still filling that out, no problem, take your time. But if you are done with that, let's scroll to the bottom of this page where we'll find our address. Now, this will need to be your office address, so not your home address. So let's go ahead and make sure we have our office address in here. If you have no idea what your office address is, feel free to Google it. Google tends to know all. Okay, so go ahead and put in your office address here. Just a heads up to look for the country and time zone to be correct as well. Then you'll have address, city, state, and zip here. And again, this is for your office address specifically. All right, and once you're done with that, let's go ahead and click Save. On the very bottom right, you'll see a big red button there. Let's go ahead and click Save. Once you click Save, you'll see this nice yellow bar letting you know that the save was successful. I know that always makes me feel better. It's the worst when you do all this work and forget to save it. We've all been there. So again, make sure you click Save on the very bottom right, that big red button, to save any work you did. And once you click Save, let's go ahead and scroll up to the very top of your screen and select Profiles on the left-hand side in red. So again, we're scrolling to the top of our screen and clicking Profiles on the left-hand side in red. All right, so we'll need to do just a little more housekeeping. I know this isn't the most exciting stuff in the world. I promise I'll save you a lot of time in the long run though, so bear with me. We'll get to more exciting things in just a moment here. So again, I scrolled up to the top of my screen and clicked Profiles on the left-hand side in red. On this page, let's go ahead and make sure our phone number and fax number are entered in and are correct. Scrolling on down to the profile details here, the main section you'll want to pay attention to here is your agent license number. That is on the right-hand column on the bottom right of this section. You would want to go ahead and put in your agent license number. Again, this will auto-populate this information on every form you bring into your Dotloop account, and it's one less thing for you to remember. Especially if you're a new agent, you have enough to learn and enough to remember at this time. So if you know your license number or have that on hand, feel free to enter that in right here. Okay, just in case you're wondering the difference between agent license number and broker license number, the broker license number is for your broker in charge. Okay, so you'll want to put your license number in the agent license number field specifically. And as you're working on that, feel free to take your time. I'm just going to talk about this company and associations information here. Assuming that we did see Keller Williams Premium on the very top left of our Dotloop account that I pointed out at the beginning of class, you should see your brokerage name right here. Okay, so this is good. This is what we want. This is how you're able to see all of your Market Center forms. So that is good. All right, last thing we're doing in this section is we have to write in our address one more time. So if you didn't know your address before, great news, you will now. All right, so for company name here, let's go ahead and make sure we have Keller Williams Realty in the very least. You can also add in your brokerage name here. So for example, Keller Williams Realty Valentine area. And then you'll see the address fields are right below that. Okay, these are the main sections that you'll need to fill out. And as you're working on that, I'm just going to start talking about the notification settings. You can just listen to me out of the side of your ear here. So you'll notice some notification settings under the property, under your office address there that you're typing in. These notification settings, I would highly recommend leaving all checked to start out with. Okay, as that will notify you anytime, so via email, notify you anytime a document is shared or a document is signed by your clients or your signature is required. All very important items here. If you start to feel like you're getting too many emails from Dotloop, you can come in here and toggle your notification settings at any time. All right, but for now, let's go ahead and leave them all checked and click Save on the bottom right there. Okay, we're clicking Save on the bottom right, that big red button, and congratulations, you are done with the housekeeping. Let's get into more fun stuff with your forms. All right, so again, don't forget to click Save on the bottom right, that big red button there. You will see a yellow bar always confirming the save was successful anytime you save something in Dotloop. Makes you feel a little better, and then let's scroll up to the very top of our screen, where we'll see those icons that we started with at the beginning of class, right? I brought you through what all of these icons mean. Now I know they do look a little different on this page here, but same concept here. And where we're going to start is on this templates icon. So the icon that looks like two sheets of paper, again, if you could scroll up to the very top of your screen and click on templates. Again, it's that icon that looks like two sheets of paper on the top right of your Dotloop account. Right, this is where all of your blank forms sit in your Dotloop account. Your office staff graciously puts all of your documents in here that you might need throughout your transaction. And your screen will look different than mine, just a heads up. It depends on your market center, what you are looking at on this screen. Okay, since again, this is controlled by your office staff. But on the left-hand side, you will notice a bunch of red form folders going down your screen. So go ahead and scroll through and you can take a look at the different folders that you might have on the left-hand side. I'm going to show you how to access a listing agreement. So go ahead and browse through and click on the form folder on the left-hand side that you think would have a listing agreement. Okay, so click on whichever red folder on the left-hand side you think would have a listing agreement. If you have no idea, okay, check with your office staff on where your forms might sit on the folders on the left-hand side. They'll be able to direct you on that and might even have checklists to show you where those sit. All right, so we're clicking on a form folder on the left-hand side in red. Once you do that, scroll up to the top of your screen and you'll see a bunch of forms going down kind of the center of your screen here with a red search bar at the top. And we'll want to click on to the right of the magnifying glass icon where it says search to then start typing in whatever keywords we're looking for. So you can type it in by the form number or the form name. So if I'm looking for a listing agreement, I'm going to type in the word listing, let's say, for example. It will then pull up all the forms that have the word listing in the title of the form. Just a heads up, if it does cut off the form name, if you hover your mouse over that form name, it will pop up a little black speech bubble telling you what that form is called in full. It gives you the full name, so you can just hover your mouse over it. But the final step to printing out one of these blank documents, you can of course click on it to make sure that is the correct document. But once you're sure, you would click on the three drop-down dots to the far right of the form name. Okay, the three drop-down dots, you'll see a lot in Dotloop, and that always means more options. So once I click those three drop-down dots, you simply click download. And what will happen is we'll pull this form outside of the Dotloop system. It'll pull it up on your computer as a PDF. So you can then print out the form and bring it on your listing appointment, for example, so you can explain the form to your client and have them hand fill it out. Okay, so I know that was a few steps there, so I'm going to go over those one more time quickly so you can jot those down, okay, or make sure you got those. All right, so step 1, we are going to click on the templates icon that look like 2 sheets of paper on the top right of your Dotloop account. Step 2, we selected the form folder on the left-hand side in red. Step 3, we use the search bar at the top of our screen to search for the form we're looking for. And finally, step 4, we click on the 3 drop-down dots on the far right of the folder name and click download to pull that form outside of the Dotloop system, and so we can print it out and bring it to our appointment right away. Okay, so you can absolutely use Dotloop to this capacity if you feel more comfortable with hand filling out a form. You can absolutely print out a blank document and bring it to your appointment with you. Okay, and then you can always put it back into your loop if necessary. All right, but of course, the general concept of Dotloop is it gives you the capacity or the ability to be able to type in your forms and get your forms signed electronically. Okay, by sending that form to your client via email, they can electronically sign it. So that is the main purpose of Dotloop. So let's take a look at how we would do just that. So if you could go ahead and click on the icon that takes you back to your Dotloop homepage, which is that icon that looks like a smiley face with no eyes, on the top of your screen here, top right. We are selecting the loops icon, which takes you back to your Dotloop homepage. Okay, and I know it will look slightly different when you get there. Again, this is the new Dotloop home screen. But we're clicking on the smiley face with no eyes. Okay, I just think that's what it looks like. Or get the loops icon on the top right to get back to your Dotloop homepage. And now let's dive into creating a new loop. All right, so to do so, we are going to click Add Loop, as you might have guessed. So let's go ahead and click on that blue button to the far right of our Dotloop homepage on the top right there that says Add Loop to get started on a practice loop. Now, as you click Add Loop, it will show you that we need to do 4 main steps here to create a new loop. So first is creating a loop name. Now you will want to put in the property address if you know the property address. Of course, if you're representing the buyer, you might not know that yet, and that's okay. You can put in the client's name. I'll show you how you can change the loop name very easily in just a moment here. So for today's class, if you want to do 123 practice loop, 123 Main Street, your home address, whatever you would like to do, just to go ahead and practice. It's really great to have a practice loop in your account so that you can try things out before going on an appointment so it looks like you know what you're doing. Always helpful. All right, so we're putting in the property address here. Main thing we need is the first part. You don't need the city, state, and zip, but of course you can add that, totally up to you. And let's go ahead and click Continue on the bottom right, that blue button. You might have to scroll down slightly to see that, but there is a blue Continue button on the bottom right there. All right, it shows us we completed the first step here. Now we're on to the template section. Now, loop templates are really helpful to making your life a little easier and making it a little more efficient as you create your loop. Now, these loop templates are added in by your office staff, so if you do not have any templates, no worries, there's nothing wrong with your account. Your office just doesn't utilize that feature, and that's perfectly fine. If you do have templates under here, right, you might notice certain things like listing loop or a sales loop. If you do select one of these loop templates here, it will bring in all of the initial forms that you need to get started on your transaction. So it can be really helpful to select one of these. But just so to make sure we're all on the same page, I am not going to select a template. Right, but you are more than welcome to. And I'm going to click Continue on the bottom right here. And it'll take me to step 3, which is adding a photo. Now, adding a photo of the house, by doing so, Dotloop says that your client is 5 times more likely to use you again or refer you out because it makes them feel like, wow, that agent created a personalized website for me to sign my forms. All right, let me show you how easy it is to add a photo here. So it might definitely be worth your time to add this in. So to click upload a photo, it will start browsing my computer. Okay, I can simply scroll on my computer, okay, to find where I have the photo of this house. Okay, so in theory, you would, let's say, go to the MLS and download a picture of the home they're buying to your computer first, and then you would be able to add this to your loop so that they see the home that they're really excited about buying on the top of their screen. So that definitely can be worth your time there, especially if they're 5 times more likely to use you again or refer you out. So it's a pretty cool statistic. And let's go ahead and click done on the bottom right. Just a quick note, you cannot resize this photo in here. You can't move it around. It just does show this little sliver of the house here. So there's no way to really change that. It's not very customizable, but it does add a cool little banner here, and we'll click done on the bottom right. All right, and it takes me to the last and final step where it shows me my new loop here. So I can just simply click on this box here to view that loop, okay, or you can click on view loop on the bottom right here to access your loop right away. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's click view loop on the bottom right there. And then that will take you into your loop right away. Now, as you do so, there are 3 main sections of your loop as you go in here. So I'm going to take you through those 3 main sections here. So the first main section is this document section at the very top of your loop. So this is where you'll be spending most of your time in your Dotloop account. Okay, this document section is where you'll be adding forms to your loop, preparing the forms, sharing those forms to your client, and so forth. So this is where most of your work will be done. As you scroll down, you'll see a people section, which will show you any people that are involved with this transaction. You'll see your clients in this section. You'll always see yourself and your admin of your office in this section. Okay? And this is where you can add people as well, but hang tight on that. We'll do that in just a second here. And last but not least, we do have a task section on the very bottom, which is a pretty cool feature. This is what I was mentioning earlier, that you can create to-do lists for yourself in every loop. So you can add different things, like all the things you need to do to get a listing live, such as adding it to the MLS, getting professional photos taken, having the home measured, put a sign in the yard, lockbox out. Okay, so you can add a to-do list and check that off as you go to keep yourself on track. So go ahead and scroll up to the top of our screen now that we took a stroll through our loop here. And a big question we get is, great, I created a loop, now what do I do? Okay, totally understandable. So what you'll want to do every time you create a new loop is actually click on View Details on the top of your loop right under the property address. So let's go ahead and click View Details. It's in red verbiage right under the loop name, which is the property address most of the time. Okay, this is a moment, if you don't follow along with me, I will lose you for a little bit. So make sure you are scrolling to the top of your loop here and click View Details right under the loop name to access this next section. All right, so what this View Details section does and why it's so exciting is because any information that you enter in here, and go ahead and scroll down just so we can take a look at what we're getting into. Any information that you enter in this View Details section will auto-populate onto every single form that you bring on this loop. So this is a huge, huge time saver to start here, as property address, for example, is one of those things that will go on every single form. So if you type this in one time here, it automatically populates onto every single form, saving you a huge amount of time in the long run. Before we get started on that, let's go ahead and scroll to the top of our screen and start with these few questions here. First of all, you'll see transaction type, where it says select transaction type. Okay, this is near the top of your screen. Let's go ahead and select listing for sale. Okay, I'm going to be working on a listing in today's class, but of course you can see the different options that you have to label as a transaction type. So listing for sale. Once you select the transaction type, you will then be able to select the loop status. It has to go in this order. So now the loop status is really helpful for organizing your loops. Okay, in this case, when we're starting a new loop, you will want to select something like pre-listing or active listing. Okay, but you'll notice that will change. You have under contract and sold. Okay, in the Dotloop 201 class, at the beginning of that class, I do cover how to organize your Dotloop home screen since you won't want to see your sold and archived loops regularly. Okay, there's no deleting anything in your Dotloop account, that's only archiving. All right, so feel free to check out the Dotloop 201 class to see more information on that. But for right now, let's go ahead and select active listing from this list here. And moving to the right side, we do have the loop name here. You will notice how easy it is to change your loop name. So for example, if you only knew the client's name at the beginning, you can always come in here and use the custom address. So you can always change the loop name here. So let's say I could add in my client's name here, click save, and it updates my loop name right away. Okay, so updating your loop name is that easy. All right, people. The people section here. So this is where you'll go to add the people to your loop. This is where you'll go to add your clients to the loop, for example. So what you might have guessed, we're going to click to add a person on the top right here to add a client to our loop. So on the top right here, let's click add person. Oops, sorry, that was a little fast. Clicking add person on the top right. And you'll need 3 main pieces of information to add your client to the loop. Their first and last name, email address, and role. So if you want to go ahead and put in your spouse's name or your favorite movie star's name, okay, that could be your client for today, or John Smith is fine if you're not feeling particularly creative. All right, whatever client name you would like to practice in for today's loop. I will be using Tony Stark for any Iron Man fans. All right, and let's go ahead and put in an email address. I would highly suggest putting in an email address, a personal email address you have that is not connected to your Dotloop account, because it's really cool to be able to share a form to yourself to see a client's view of the loop and see how easy it is to sign a form from a client's perspective. It helps if your client calls you asking questions about how to sign. Okay, so if you have a personal email address to put in, go ahead and do that. And the role here, the role, I can't express how important this role is to make sure you're entering in. The role is what controls if they are able to electronically sign the form. So make sure to always click where it says role. And you'll see a whole bunch of roles. There's a little scroll bar here on the right hand side that you can scroll to see all the different roles you have available. The most commonly used ones are at the top of your screen. So I'm going to go ahead and select seller, since we're working on a listing here. But again, they will not be able to electronically sign the form if you do not sign a role. So very important there. You will notice a bunch of other fields that pop down that you can fill in and that will autofill onto, let's say, the listing agreement or any form that requires that. But let me talk to you quickly about this add to my team button right here. If you are taking notes, please make a note to never, ever, ever click this add to my team button if you are adding a client to the loop. Okay, what this button does, if you were to click add to my team, it would allow this person you're adding to see everything in the loop that you can see. And you of course don't want that. Okay, the general concept of Dotloop is everything is private in your loop until it is shared. Okay, so people in your loop can only see what you choose to share with them. Right, so you do not want your client to see every single form in your loop and every item in your loop. Right, so let's not click this add to my team button if you're adding a client to the loop. Now it is a really cool feature, so let me tell you quickly about when you would want to use this field or this checkbox here. So if you are co-listing a property with another agent in your office, if you are on the same side of a transaction, co-listing a property, you can add that other agent to your loop and click add to my team, and it would put this loop in that agent's account as well, their Dotloop account as well, so you can collaborate on the loop together. Another great use for it, if you're on a real estate team and you have a team admin, you can add your team admin to every loop and click add to my team to put the loop in your team admin's account so they can help you with the loop as well. So really cool feature, just not for your clients, okay? So hopefully that was clear. Please let me know if you have any questions at all on that. And for now, let's go ahead and click add person on the bottom right here, big red button. And you'll see that adds your client to the loop here. And of course, if there was a spouse in this transaction or another party that needs to sign, you can click add person and repeat that process to add that other person in. Now, as I mentioned, you will always see your admin in your loop. And for you, in the people section, find your name here. Do make sure you note what your Dotloop email address is. And where it says none right under it, let's go ahead and click on that to change that to listing agent. Okay, remember the roles are super important to be able to electronically sign. All right, please also note that you can come back and edit this at any time, so you can edit your client's name if you find out they signed with Anthony instead. Okay, so you can edit their information there. And as we scroll down, I know I was talking to you guys a little earlier about how all this information autofills onto all of the forms that you bring into your loop. So just to make sure that we see what that looks like, so you're familiar with that, let's go ahead and just put in the property address information, and then I'll talk a little more about this. But just to practice it, under property address, let's go ahead and add in just some basic information here. I'm going to add in the city, state, zip. Okay, just some information so you can see what it looks like when it autofills onto a form. And as you're getting through with that, feel free to scroll down and take a look at all the other information that you can put in that Dotloop will autofill for you. Financial information like the sales price, commission rate, contract dates, offer dates, it goes on and on, listing information. Now, aside from this saving you a huge amount of time, this is a really helpful section for brand new agents who are looking at these new forms that you've maybe never seen before. Some of these forms are about 10 pages long with a lot of information and legal jargon, and it's hard to know at the beginning where all this information goes. Right, if you come in here and put in the information that Dotloop is straight up prompting you for in each one of these fields, Dotloop knows where on the form that information goes and will handle that for you. So you have to do less of a treasure hunt. And of course, for experienced agents, this can save you just a huge amount of time to not have to go tracking through the form to find those fields. Okay. So really awesome section. For now, let's go ahead and scroll up to the top of our screen here and click Save. That will be on the top right red toolbar. You'll see Save. And you will always get that yellow bar confirming the save is successful. So again, don't forget to click Save. Top right red toolbar. And once you click Save here, let's go ahead and click Back to Loop on the top left. All right, we're clicking Back to Loop on the top left. It will take you back to your loop, where the fun really starts of adding forms to your loop. All right, so you should see a folder, at least one already in your loop off default, and you may already see these 3 blue boxes underneath the folder name. If you do not, all right, you would just simply need to click Add Document to the far right of any folder name, and you will view these 3 blue boxes right away. Now, where we're going to start is by pulling in an interactive form. Okay, and you'll see what that is in just a moment here. So this first blue box, just to draw this full circle for you, please note that this icon right here is the same exact icon we started class in, that templates icon on the top right. Just trying to draw this full circle for you guys to make a little more sense of it. So let's go ahead and select that first blue box that says Templates, add an interactive form by selecting one from Templates. All right, let's do it. So I'm clicking on that first blue box. And this pop-up box that displays should look slightly familiar to you because we did start class in the templates. And you'll notice on the left-hand side we do have our form folders, and we have a little scroll bar here that we can scroll to find the form folder we're looking for. Again, your screen will look different than mine depending on which Market Center you're in, because your Market Center staff awesomely adds these form folders for you. So we are clicking on the left-hand side, the form folder, and I'm going to bring in a listing agreement. So if you would like to click the form folder on the left-hand side that you believe would have a listing agreement, go for it. It'll be the same concept for whatever form. So whatever's easiest for you to find is totally cool. Once I select the form folder on the left-hand side, it will turn black, letting me know that was selected. I can use the search bar at the top of my screen. Okay, click the word search to start typing in the word listing in this example, okay, or whatever keywords will pull up the form that you're looking for. Once I type in the keyword, It will search the screen, or search this folder, the form folder, and I can click the checkbox to the left of whichever form I want to bring into my loop. You can click multiple if you would like to. In this case, I'm just clicking the checkbox next to the listing agreement that I would like to bring in. As I find the form that I need, the last and final step is clicking copy on the bottom right here. Okay, so quick overview of what steps we did. We selected the form folder on the left-hand side in red. We used the search bar at the top of our screen here to search any keywords to help pull up the form we're looking for. And once we find the form, let's go ahead and click the checkbox left of whichever form that we would like to copy into our loop. And click the big copy button. I'll give you this nice green check mark that one of one was imported, and you can click OK. All right, and then voila, we have the form that we brought into our loop. You'll see that right under the form name. And to start editing that form, it's as simple as clicking on the form name to start editing that right away. Okay, so go ahead and simply click on that form name to open that up right away. Excuse me. Now, as I click on the form name, it will bring me to this autofill box. And this autofill box is our friend, so please make sure never to click this X right here. We always want to have this autofill box and fill this out. Your clients will actually not be able to electronically sign without this autofill box. So, in here, I was stressing how important roles are, and you should already see your client in line with seller 1. Okay, if you're working on a listing agreement with me. All right, so you will need to see seller 1, you will need to see your client's name. If you do not, if it just says select person, no worries, you can just click on select person and select your client's name from that list. Or let's say you didn't know there was a spouse in the transaction, but are just finding this out, you can always click select person and go to add person to add in another person to your loop here. Okay, but again, they will not be able to electronically sign the field unless they are labeled a role here. So seller 1, we have our client. Really important you see yourself in here as well if this is a form that you'll need to sign, so you should see your name next to listing agent as well. And as we scroll down, this is a section that will also autofill on your form here. So we already have the property information displaying since we went and put that in the view details section, already saving us time. Awesome. All right, as you scroll down, you'll see the listing agent information. If you're working on a listing agreement, it should already have all your contact information since we put that in the My Account section at the beginning of class, also saving us time, which is awesome. And you can scroll down to enter in any other information that you want to autofill on the form. Again, this just saves you time, and Dotloop knows where to put this information on the form for you. So let's scroll to the very bottom of this box and click autofill. Okay, that big red button on the bottom right that says autofill. Once I click autofill, it will bring me over to my form. So it will show me a little black box on the right hand side that tells me 2 roles have been assigned and 13 fields have been autofilled. So you might wonder why some of the fields are yellow, and that is the universal sign that that has been autofilled. Okay, so any fields that are yellow, that is Dotloop putting that in automatically, saving you time and a headache possibly. All right, so to prepare the form further, so the first thing you'll want to do as you come to the form is prepare it, right? Type in the form. So where you see, let's say, any fields, any text fields, you can simply click to start typing. It is that easy to edit a field. Okay, you simply click and start typing. Okay, that'll be for any text fields. If you see any check boxes as you're going down your screen, that's as simple as clicking to check the field. You may also see some date fields, and I know it's a date field because I see a little calendar icon in the field, which I can then click on that field. I'll see a calendar display, and you'll see arrows that you can scroll through the calendar to pick the expiration date in this example. Right, so you would go through the entire form to fill it out in that manner, simply clicking to to fill in each field. Now, as we get to the bottom of a page where you might see an initial box, you will notice that your seller's initials are entered in print here. Now, just so you know, if I printed out this form, this field would be blank. It would be just a blank empty box. You are seeing your client's initials in print here because that is indicating to you that you set it up correctly. Okay, you must see your client's initials in print on the bottom here for them to be able to electronically sign. If it just says seller on both boxes, that means they would not be able to electronically sign, so you would need to see your client's initials specifically for them to sign. So let's talk about what if. What if you accidentally must have messed something up, let's say, and you're just seeing seller in both boxes here. No worries. How you would fix that is just by coming up to this black toolbar where you'll notice this autofill option here. And this is asking if I want to save it, so I'll click yes. So once I click that autofill option on the top black toolbar, I will then want to come in here and make sure my client is labeled as seller 1 or seller 2 and/or. All right, and then I would scroll down to click autofill again, and then that would fix that issue right away. Okay, so very important that you see your client's initials in print here to indicate that you set it up correctly to be able to electronically sign. So let me show you the difference of what it looks like when the form is actually signed. So you will notice on the left-hand side here, if this is a listing agreement, you might need to sign that. So I have the individual agent initials, and it tells me as a listing agent I need to sign here. So I'm going to go ahead and hover my mouse over that, and I'm going to click Sign Now. And this looks the same when your client goes to sign it as well. So the first time only that your client goes to sign something, or yourself, it will pop up their name here and their initials. So if you misspelled your client's name or they like to sign with a middle initial, they can change that. They can edit how their name is signing here. And they can click Adopt and Sign. They can also click Draw Signature. I wouldn't suggest that on a computer because it kind of looks like a 5-year-old drew it. But Draw Signature is great if you're on a tablet. Okay, have a stylist. You can draw the signature. But if not, if you're on a computer, I would just let Dotloop handle the pretty signature here. Click Adopt and Sign. And you will notice it puts in your initials with a time and date stamp here. So you can tell it's a big difference from when it is actually signed versus when it is just set up correctly so that your client can sign. Now I'm going to scroll down to a signature field. It is the same exact thing as an initial field. I just want you guys to see it just so you feel comfortable with it. So any signature fields, you will notice it says your client's name, sign here. Very important. Remember, if it just says seller, sign here, that your client will not be able to electronically sign. So really great tool to make sure you set that up correctly. And down as a listing agent, you'll notice all your information is auto-filled here, because again, that's pulling from the My Account section. But the listing agent, now that I go to Sign Now, it will pop in my signature without further questions with a time and date stamp. Okay, so that is how you would go about signing that. Now let's say that you want to be able to type up your forms because you like how it looks when it's typed up. It looks professional, but your clients don't trust electronic signatures. Okay, you'll run into that. Or maybe you're not a big fan. That's totally fine. Right, you can simply type up the entire form and then print it out to bring that on your appointment. To do that, okay, of course, first we would go through, use your imagination that we went through and filled out the entire form. That would, of course, be the first step. Then you could come up to File on the top black toolbar, and you can simply click Print from there. Okay, that would print out your typed up form so that you can bring it onto your appointment, explain the listing agreement, and have them hand sign it in person. Okay, so again, that was File on the top black toolbar and Print. All right, but let's talk about how you can also share it to your client via the client's email address so they can electronically sign it from here. Again, first step is going through and filling out the entire form. Okay, if you try and make any changes after the form is signed, it will erase all of their signatures because it thinks they didn't sign for that change. It makes sense, right? But so again, you will want to go ahead and fill out the entire form first, and then you'll click the option that says Save and Share. Okay, that big red button on the top right here, where it says Save and Share on the top right. And it will bring up the share screen here. Now on the share screen, you will notice a few things. Again, make sure I got here by clicking on the big red share button on the top right. It will show you first of all which document is being shared, okay, to make sure you're sharing the correct document. It will show you who currently has access to the form, right? You will always see your name and your admin in this Who Has Access section. If you can't remember if you shared the form to your client previously, you would see their name in the list if you had. And underneath here, you will see this Add People section. All right, I see my client has a checkbox here. I see he is labeled as a seller, and I see that he has 11 fields assigned to him. There's another confirmation that I set it up correctly. He will be able to electronically sign. And we have Can Sign on the far right. Let's go ahead and click on where it says Can Sign so I can go over the different sharing options with you guys. So this Can Sign option that it defaults on, that is the most popularly used option that purely gives your client the option to sign the fields that you have assigned to them. They are not able to make any changes to any fields on the form, which is good, right? You're the real estate professional. You know what needs to go on the form. You don't want them to be able to change anything like, oh, I don't know, your commission rate, for example. All right, so 9 times out of 10, you'll be sharing it as Can Sign. Okay, that's typically all you want your clients to be able to do is simply sign what you filled out for them. All right, but let's talk about the times you would use the other options here. And please note, I know this is a lot of information. First of all, if you hover your mouse over any of these options here, it will pop up a little speech bubble to let you know what I'm saying here. And just a quick side note, I do have notes on today's class. If you would like those notes written out as well, feel free to email me at support@scottleroydmarketing.com. You can put attention my name, which is Leah, L-E-A-H, and I'd be happy to share those notes with you after today's class. So feel free to ask for those. All right, so sorry about that quick side note, but let's dive into these other sharing options. So view only here, if you share the form as view only, all right, that might be a good time to use it if you're sharing the form to, let's say, a mortgage provider. So let's say the loan officer needs to see the fully executed offer to purchase to approve the loan. Okay, you can add in the loan officer's information, email address, and share it as view only. Okay, or maybe you're representing a younger couple who has parents who want to look over the forms before they sign that. View only is a great thing for method to share that with them. Can fill and sign. This is a good one to talk about. So can fill and sign is really great to share property disclosures with. So if you have a property disclosure, let's say that your client needs to fill out information about, the age of the roof or the age of the HVAC, okay, all the information that they know about their property, you'll want them to be able to fill it out the form and then sign it. So property disclosure is a great example for when to use that. Can edit in private. Okay, the main time you'll want to share it as can edit in private here is if you are sharing it to the agent on the other side. So if you are sharing it to an agent, so let's say you're the buyer's agent and you're sharing an offer to purchase to the agent on the other side, you can share that as can edit in private. That will send it to the agent on the other side so that they can counter offer. They'll be able to make any changes to the offer, and of course when they make changes to the offer it will erase your client's signature. But they can make changes to the offer, get their clients to sign it, and share it back to you. So it will give that agent all the same rights that you have to editing the form. But again, can sign is the most popularly used one, about 9 times out of 10 I would say, is when to use that one. I know that was a bunch of information, but again, hover your mouse over it to view that, a little reminder every time. And all you would need to do is go ahead and click share. And of course, just a quick note, you can attach the PDF to an email as well. So if you're sharing it to an agent that doesn't use Dotloop, for example, You might want to share it as attached PDF to email. That agent will have the option to use Dotloop for free, or just grab the PDF from the email and go on the merry way. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and click share here. You don't have to do this, but you can go ahead and click share, especially if you used a personal email address, so you can see what it looks like when your client goes to sign. And you can click done. Alright, it tells you the document has been shared and waiting on others. Alright, so I'm just going to do a couple more things in today's class, and then I'll let you enjoy your Friday Eve. I'd like to show you what a client's view is when they do receive the document, and I'll also be showing you how to submit for review. Okay, how to submit a loop for review to your office. So if you'd like to hang in there, hang tight for a moment, I'll show you a few extra things, and then I'll let you go. So just watch on my screen here, unless you'd like to go to that personal inbox of yours, personal email, to see what it looks like when your client receives a form. So I am in, quote unquote, the client's inbox here, and I can see that as the client view, okay, this is the email that they would receive. Let me delete this to make that less confusing. So this is what it would look like when they receive it. It would show the agent's name, your name, and it says please review, and the form name. So I simply click on that as the client. It tells me that your name, the agent's name, has shared a document with you for a loop, and it says the property address here, shows your headshot here to confirm that this is a credible source, and I can click View Document. Okay, so this is how easy it is for your client to go to electronically sign something. All right, so it says click Start Signing to begin. So I'm going to click Start Signing here as the client. Again, this is the client's view. And it brings me right down to the first field I need to sign. It tells me to sign, so it says click here. Okay, got it. I click here. Now again, the first time and the first time only that your client goes to electronically sign, it will give them the option to change their name if needed, if you misspelled their name or if they sign with their legal name. So they can change that there and click Adopt and Sign. And then as the client, it brings me down to the next field that I can click. And it moves me on down. Of course, they have the option to scroll up so they can actually read what they're signing. Okay, so they can absolutely do that. I'm just going to sign all these fields real quick so I can show you guys what it looks like at the end as well. So see how easy and how quickly I can go through and sign all of these fields here. Get to the signature field, I'm signing. Okay, so as I'm done, as the client, it says click Finish to send the completed document back to the sender. Okay, so once they click Finish signing here, that's when it will notify you as the agent that your client has signed the Dotloop account, or I'm sorry, signed the form. And once they do that, once they do sign the form, it will give them the option to sign up for a free Dotloop account so that they can log into Dotloop.com to see all the forms that they have signed at any time. Right? So they don't have to do this step. If they choose to just X out, it will still keep the signed document, but they do have this option to sign up for a free Dotloop account so they can see these signed forms anytime. Alright, so that is what it looks like from a client's perspective when they are going to sign a form. You can see how easy it is for them to actually sign it. So pretty foolproof on that. But it is helpful to go through that one time so you can see what your clients see if they ask you any questions. Now, last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to submit for review. So if you can go back to your Dotloop account, if you ever went away from that, okay, if you're still in that form, I'm just going to click this back arrow on the top left of your screen, that top black toolbar. And 1 second, it logged me out of my Dotloop account because I logged into the client, so hold tight here. Okay, so we're back. So again, I just clicked on the back arrow on the top left of the form to get back to my main loop here. It's a little hard to see. It's like a red back arrow to the left side of the form name on the top left, and that will take you back to your loop. Now you'll need to submit your loop for review. Okay, so your office admin can always see your loops technically. However, they don't go look at your loop because there are a million loops in their admin account. Okay, so they don't necessarily go and look at your loop unless you submit it for review. So you will want to check in with your office on their policy about how often they want you to submit for review and when the best times are to do that in their policies. But I will tell you the general policies that most offices go with. So of course, feel free to check in with your office staff to see your office policy specifically. So first of all, how you submit for review is simply clicking on Submit for Review on the top right of your loop here. So Submit for Review. And don't do this, by the way, right now. Your office staff won't thank me if they get a bunch of loops to review that don't really need to be reviewed. So if all you would do is click Submit for Review on the top right there of your loop, select which folder needs to be reviewed. You'll select which type that is, so let's say a listing loop in this case. And you can even put in why you're submitting. So if you're submitting missing documents, you can put that in and click Submit. But let me tell you about when you would submit for review. So if it's your listing, you would want to submit your loop for review 3 times. The first time is when your listing goes live. Okay, you'll want to submit your loop for review with all your listing documents. Okay, like your fully executed listing agreement, maybe your live MLS data sheet. Okay, your office may have a checklist of all the different forms that they require for your listing. Okay, so check in with them. So you'll submit for review once when the listing goes live. You'll submit a second time for review when the listing goes under contract, okay, with your executed contract and your green sheet, which I'll show you in just a moment how to access that. Okay, your green sheet is what shows your office how you're getting paid. I'll cover that more in a moment here. Okay, so you'll submit again a second time for review when your listing goes under contract with all the signed contract documents. And you'll submit a third time for review when your listing closes, okay, with all your closing documents like the closing disclosure, termite letter, so forth. All right, so again, 3 times for review when your listing goes, if it's your listing. If you're representing a buyer, typically you'll submit for review twice. Once when the listing goes under, I'm sorry, tripping over my words, long class. So if it's your buyer that you're representing, you'll submit for review twice. Once when you go under contract with all the contract documents, and a second time when it closes with all of your closing documents. Of course, please check in with your office staff to make sure that is the same policy for your office. But let me show you lastly how to fill out a green sheet, where you go to access that real quick, and then I will let you guys go. All right, so to submit a green sheet, and typically you'll want to submit a green sheet when the property goes under contract, that is found under View Details in your loop. So right under the loop name here, you'll see it says View Details. And this is kind of where we started our loop, so hopefully this is familiar to you. Go ahead and click View Details under the property address or the loop name. And you'll see it says Submit to Green Sheet on the top right here. Okay, so a green sheet is necessary to show your office how you're getting paid, if you're splitting the transaction with anyone in your office, if you have an outside referral. Okay, so the green sheet again is showing your office how to get paid. Typically you will not be able to get paid without submitting a green sheet. So slightly important step, right? And again, typically you want to submit a green sheet when you go under contract. And when you click Submit to Green Sheet, if it does say, if it doesn't pop up, just make sure you have your pop-up blocker off. If you have any other issues with accessing that, feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com. Alright guys, so I hope that was a helpful class on all the Dotloop basics. Again, this class is recorded and will be up for you to watch shortly on slmtraining.com. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to let us know. Email us at support@scottleroymarketing.com, and I'd be happy to help you through that. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and happy looping.